I have a special episode for you today because I have a guest joining me. Kim Costa's mission is to help transform how people think about their home. She helps overwhelmed homeowners align with their ideal home environment and see it as a reflection of themselves so they can use their home as a tool for living authentically and as the foundation for better routines. Are you ready to stop the chaos, the stress, the overwhelm that's filling your life? I'm Renae Matt, and together you and I are going to build simple routines that are going to change your life. When you put these habits into practice, you're going to be able to organize your life in a way where you can be there for your family, pay off your debt, save money, your house can stay organized, you don't have to stress about what's for dinner, and you still get time for yourself. So without further ado, let's get started. Welcome to the Routine Advantage Podcast. So Kim is a top 5% realtor, the creator of the Wheelhouse Method, which is a lifestyle-based approach that helps clients align their homes with their authentic self. She's also a host on American Dream TV and the creator of the Live in Your Wheelhouse podcast and YouTube channel, where she explores how our homes shape who we become. Kim believes that the right home isn't just about square footage, it's about creating a foundation for the life you actually want to live. And she's here today to talk about how we can use our homes as the foundation for better routines. I would love to start by just having you tell us a little bit about yourself and what it is that you do.
Sure. Okay, I'm Kim Costa, and I'm a realtor and an author. I'm based in Atlanta. I have been in the residential construction industry prior to being a real estate agent, and I've been a top producer for the past 7 years. So I combine my love for helping people align with the perfect home with my writing skills, and I've developed a system to help people really get to the bottom of exactly what needs they're trying to satisfy when they're either renovating, redecorating, or moving from a home.
And you have a new podcast as well, correct?
I do. The book and the
I listened to
podcast are both called Live in Your Wheelhouse.
That is so cool because I actually started listening to some of your episodes when we arranged this call. So that's exciting. So my first question is how can your home support you to be your best self?
The first step is, who are you exactly? And I know the first 30 years of my life, I was really aligned with what I wanted. And then somewhere in the middle 30 years, I was a mom, I was an accountant, which I never should have been. I kind of started doing everything that everybody wanted me to do. And I kind of lost myself along the way. And so this next 30 years, I really created the system to align first with, how are you made? What are your gifts? What brings you joy? And what are your values? And then align your life environment, your lifestyle environment, to help you be that person. So that's step number one. I'm an ENFP, which is an extroverted, intuitive, feeling, perceptive person. In other words, I'm a right-brained creative. Now, why I was in accounting for 25 years, I do know. I did it because my family needed me to do it. And but now I'm totally going to be me, and I'm creating an environment, or I have created an environment that supports who I am to my maximum capacity in 8 different areas of my lifestyle.
So how do you know when it's time to change your environment instead of just changing your habits once you find the results of your assessment?
Well, so the whole thing is predicated by life change. So I became an empty nester. Somebody may be getting married and having babies. Maybe they're changing careers on purpose. It's usually, or getting a divorce. All these, or an illness, all these things, it's all about life change, because usually you're doing the same habits until it's just not working anymore. And when you feel frustrated or lonely in your home, or sad, maybe there's been some kind of loss, or angry, why can't I do the things I want to do? That means something in the way that you're living is not coinciding with the dream or ideal life that you wish you had, something that would complete you and bring you comfort and joy, and just being your true self, authenticity. And so there's something missing, and you'll start to feel the pain points in, I'm living in a high-rise condo in the city, but I want a dog, and I'm getting married in a couple of months. So now, and I want to start a family. in a couple of years. So now that looks like that's not going to work in the high-rise condo when I was like, had a carefree lifestyle, but now I'm moving into a different phase of life. And what my home offers me now is not going to work for the next 5 or 10 years.
Okay. So are those kind of the signs that you're looking for when
Mm-hmm.
you are trying to figure out what you need or when you need to adjust your home environment?
It's the pain points. So
Okay.
each of the 8 areas is scaled from 1 to 10. So here's a very obvious example. You get a promotion and your job is going to take you from Charlotte, North Carolina to San Diego. And you cannot stay in, that's going to be a 0 on the career scale because you can't do your job in San Diego from Charlotte. So it forces a move. So that's a very obvious sign, but then you really still need to look at all of the 8 spokes on the wheel of life because you don't want to move to San Diego and get a mismatched home. It's in the right location, it's close to your work, but perhaps you want to be within, for fun and leisure, you want to be close to hiking but you do like your privacy. So you're going to set up your living environment. Perhaps you're more introverted. So you don't want to be in a noisy place that's in the middle of like a bunch of lifestyle. You want to be closer to where the hiking trails are, where there's some solitude and things like that. So you go around the whole wheel to see exactly what that home is going to look like for you.
Okay. And I know you have a freebie for the wheel, but can you just talk a little bit
Mhm.
about the wheel for anybody that hasn't heard what
Sure.
that is?
So the live in your wheelhouse is based on the 8 areas of the wheel of life. And so it's health, career, environment, entertainment, spirituality, family and friends, romance, and finance. And so these are like all the, when it's a coaching tool that you rate from 1 to 10, how well you're doing in those areas and what you need to focus on. So in the live in your wheelhouse, you answer questions that are rising in like the seriousness of the need in that area, in each of those areas to see what's not working, what is working, what you can fix. And then you kind of prioritize those areas as well. Like if you're going to move to San Diego for your job, probably career is the number one reason you're moving. And then you'll go into finance, health, like you want to be hiking and things like that, and so on.
Okay. So do you have any tips for a listener that might know that their home isn't in alignment with their needs or their
Mhm.
self, but they can't afford to move or do any big renovations or anything?
Absolutely. Because that happens all the time. I mean,
I
so
was like,
many
that's
of us,
probably common.
so common because so like the after the pandemic we had, or even at the end of the pandemic, we had all this craziness in the real estate market where people were quickly buying homes and waiving inspection and getting a 3% interest rate, and now they're in a home that they chose quickly and they may not be 100% happy with because 82% of everyone in the past 2 years has a major regret about their home. That's a lot of
Oh,
people.
wow.
So, but it doesn't mean that we can move. It might just mean that we need to look at ways to like change the function of a room or look at a plan for I can move in 3 years after I have built up enough equity in my current home to then take that equity and look at something new. Or in 3 years, my daughter will be graduating high school, so I can now move out of this school system. But in the meanwhile, what in your life has changed? And is there any way that you can have an option A, B, or C that could help you up level that life? And I'm trying to think of an example of like empty nesting, but you can't quite move out of the home yet because maybe 2 of your 3 kids have moved out and you have 1 child left. They have 2 years left in high school, but you're ready to travel and things like that. So it might be something like, hiring someone to maintain the yard so that you can go travel for this child's volleyball games or whatever it is that, you are overwhelmed with the maintenance on the home. You don't want to be stuck there anymore. You're ready to kind of have some fun and do things on your own for fun and leisure. So there are ways to kind of bridge that gap until you can actually move. And this process looks at if you are going to stay and make a plan for whatever 2, 5, whatever, how many years you're going to stay until you can research your next place you want to live. And maybe if it's out of state, you go visit there on a vacation and you look at the community that you possibly might want to live in because you don't want to make a big financial mistake.
Right, exactly. So I know we have a lot of listeners that are mid-age range with
Hmm.
young kids and,
Hmm.
trying to keep finances in check and things like that and just getting
Hmm.
overwhelmed with the littles in the house and all of the household tasks and things like that. Does it work with the space that they have just for their daily habits and routines? Does that come into play here? And what are some steps that you can take to design your home how you need it but don't have a lot of flexibility there?
Yeah.
Like, is
Well,
that
I mean, it's small steps in that case, because if you're already overwhelmed, you certainly don't want to add a move to that,
right,
because a
exactly.
move is like one of the top three stressors of our lives. If you're already maxed out, don't even consider moving, especially if you haven't had a chance to pause and think about exactly what you're solving by moving. I've seen people move just to try to fix something, and then it kind of makes things worse because now they're stressed out from the move, and the kids are upset because they're in a different school, and the routines are all up in the air. So I would say, stay where you are, make a plan, start working around that wheel of life comparison to like, is clutter a problem? Like, are you overwhelmed because you can't keep up with the laundry and it's like in your sight? And maybe it's about creating space in the laundry room so you can compartmentalize that mess, um, and not have it, in the background of your Zoom call, or
Right.
like on your couch when you're sitting to watch TV. That's like a constant reminder of unfinished chores when you've got dinner to cook, kids to put to bed, uh, let's hope some kind of relaxation for mom, and or exercise or something you do for yourself. It's a way, like, there's a way to compartmentalize things in your home so that it's not always in your face. Like, are your work papers out on the kitchen counter staring at you? Are they in your bedroom? Can you compartmentalize different areas of your life so they're not constantly stressing you out?
Yeah. It's so interesting because my husband and I were loosely looking at moving. We live in the city right now and we
Hmm.
we want land, so we are looking for another home and we've come across several, and it's so hard to choose even if you are going to be moving because there's so many decisions to make. And I've never thought about looking at it from these categories of life. Like, you
Right.
automatically think just storage, how many bathrooms, how many bedrooms does it
Yeah.
have? You
Can
don't
I
really
afford
think
it?
about you don't really think about like your well-being in that sense when you're looking at a home or the spaces in your home that much.
Right.
That's really
Right.
interesting.
Yeah, and so is there, and also as a family, is there space for everyone in the family who have different personalities? Like, you'll have some more introverted children, you have some more extroverted children. Is there a space for the extroverted child to have friends over and like have a playroom, or like a big outside area on a farm? Wouldn't that's lovely? When the introverted child, do they have a little reading nook where no one can like bother them all the time? Or are they always thrust into like the noisiness of the house? So it takes into consideration all of the personalities in the home. And is there something for each person in that home? And if they're a creative child, they're not trying to make you irritated because their projects are out or they didn't put their
Right.
markers away or anything like that. They're just like, if you put their art project away, it's kind of killed their creativity because they don't see it anymore. And that shuts down a creative mind. So they kind of need a space like, okay, this is your area, these are your shelves. Let's put your project here. I know you're not finished with it, but mommy can't can't have this mess in the kitchen at all times. I understand. Like, it's just a
Yeah.
matter of understanding what in that house is going to work for each person, to like respect who they are even as young children, because that just turns into my mom and dad, or mom or dad really saw me, and
Yeah.
they created a space in the home for me to be me. And I didn't get in trouble because I was creative, and my sibling didn't get in trouble because they were like more linear thinking. They needed a space to be very organized, and so we made that for them. And so same thing for mom and dad or whoever else is living in the house. Everyone needs to understand that they're kind of like, you're probably too young for this. Do you remember Oscar and Felix, the Odd Couple?
I do. I do.
Okay. So remember how they drove each other nuts because
Yep.
one was a neat freak and the other was kind of a lovable slob?
Yep.
Well, they didn't mean to. It's just how they were built.
Personalities. Yeah.
It was their personalities. And so it made for funny TV. But, you know, that's kind of how you think people are doing things to annoy you, but they're not. They're just being them. And they don't understand maybe why you do want the things you want. And so the perfect home, and there's no such thing as a perfect home. It there really isn't. It offers something for everybody in the house.
That's so interesting. So do you think that that's the first step, is just taking the assessment? I know you mentioned they might have one small change that people can make in their living space.
Yes.
Have an immediate impact on reducing daily stress. Is that something we've already covered, or is that something different that you were talking about?
Well, I mean, really, it just depends on what the pain point is. And I'm just trying to think. You know, maybe it's trying to eat healthier meals. I mean, here we are, recording this in January, and a lot of people are trying to, eat less carbs and no preservatives and things like that. So maybe it's just cleaning out your pantry one day and going through, like, I just threw out all my expired spices. I will not tell you the longest date ago that one of them was, but I certainly don't need to be eating that. And so maybe it's just, that made me feel good. Like, it took away some anxiety. Like, it took me 10 minutes one morning, and I just went through, I love to cook, but I had some old spices in the back, and I just took them all out and just put my glasses on because I'm getting older now. And I looked at all the dates, and I threw away the ones that had expired. Like, it's a fresh start. And that just like started my day off with, I did something for me today. And so it could be because anxiety comes from inaction. It comes from putting up with something that it bothers you every day, but you don't do like even something small about it. For example, a pile of clothes that is in your bedroom, and we're all in a hurry and they might be thrown. But if you can just do one thing a day to kind of like I did that for myself, so I don't have to look at the clothes on my chair before I go to bed. I'm just gonna take the 10 minutes so that because that is like stressing me out to look at that. Or cleaning out a drawer that's, full of junk. Planting a couple of flowers in a pot. One small thing. I don't want to do, like, sometimes I'm really not in the mood to clean anything out. I kind of want to do something fun, and I'll plant some flowers in a pot on my back porch so I can see from my kitchen window. Because, we're all busy, but it's like, it just reminds me when I see them blooming that I did something for myself a month ago.
Yeah. And that's interesting too, because a lot of times we're thinking about what we can get rid of and decluttering and getting everything out. So every once in a while, we do actually need to be bringing things in to feel more calm and like that stress reduction. So that's cool that you're kind of looking at that. So, and what was the slogan again that you had with stay go?
Stay, go, or reno. So it's live in your wheelhouse, but then the byline or the subtitle is an empowering guide to stay, go, or reno. And reno is short for renovation.
So when they take the assessment, they can either feel good about staying where they are. They're pretty happy where they are because they scored pretty high all the way around. And if they are going, then obviously their home is not fitting them and they not have to, but would want to consider moving at that point if it was in their budget. Or the renovation, it could be something super simple, but it's not just renovating to renovate. It's something specific that applies to the assessment, right? It's not just a kitchen renovation because they don't like the colors anymore, but it's the functionality of it. Is that kind of what you're focusing on?
Absolutely. Now, here's the thing. If someone's redoing their kitchen for aesthetics, good for them. Like, you're in a really good spot, because if aesthetics on Maslow's hierarchy, it goes physiological needs, safety, self-esteem, love and belonging, cognition, which is like learning a new thing, and then aesthetics. If you're all the way up in aesthetics and that's your like biggest worry, that is awesome. Like, good for you, because you don't have any lower needs that aren't being solved right now, like that you need to solve. So if you're doing an aesthetic, that's fantastic and good for you. But so many of us have, changing lifestyles that you're trying to solve a functional issue in the kitchen. Like, let me think. I don't have enough room. I have 6 people in the family and we don't have enough room to eat. So 2 people are sitting at the kitchen counter and it just feels disconnected as a family. So that is affecting the pie chart piece, the spoke of the wheel that is family and friends. And it's a lower level need because those people don't feel like they belong because they're not even at the family table. So
Yeah.
that's a lower level need. And you might, make whatever it is, you might make a huge island everybody could sit around and like they have that community feeling in the kitchen. Or you may decide, let's go eat in the dining room every night because we can fit 8 people around there. So it's just a change of function or a change of routine that solves some kind of pain point that people are having in one of the 8 areas of the wheel of life. And the wheel, you're trying to get an inflated tire. So if one of those spokes is down at like a 1, 2, 3, or 4, you have a flat tire. So you're trying, that it's kind of hard to operate and roll through life on a tire that's flat.
Right, exactly. And so how often would you suggest that people take this assessment? Is it kind of a one and done thing? Is it just when they start feeling more overwhelmed? Is it
Yeah.
once a year? Like how
I mean,
often?
once a year is great because you can fix minor things and you just improve your life in that area. But like if there's a major life change or like you're starting to feel frustrated with something in your home or lonely or like you pull up and you're just like, you get that. You want to be like, oh, I'm so glad I'm home. But if you're frustrated or sad or angry or lonely about something, if you're getting these feelings of frustration, I think is what I see the most. And you have to pinpoint what that's coming from.
Okay. This is really cool. And I appreciate you bringing this. I hope the listeners find value in it because it's so interesting to think about. What is the best way for people to reach out to you or to find the information? Because you have the assessment. I will link that in the show notes.
Okay,
So that
great.
they have access to that. But then what is the best way for them to reach out to you or to connect with you beyond the assessment once they have that information?
Well, the best way for them to reach me is on my website, and that's lifestylefoundations.com. And they can pre-order the book or order the book if it's, later. It's coming out in March 2026. So they can
Oh,
pre-order it now. And of course, later they can just order it straight away. There are some bonuses like a masterclass that they'll get for free. And then I will be starting workshops soon. So if somebody's really struggling with the decision of what to do next regarding their life, their living environment or their home, I will be offering some workshops where I'll run through the whole process with the system. So if they feel like they want some hands-on working with me a little like in a group setting, I'll be available for that. And I love talking to people about what they're trying to fix in their home. So it's fun for me and hopefully helpful for everybody.
yeah, that sounds fun. Did you want to talk a little bit about your book or share
Sure.
some of
Yeah.
that?
Sure. No, so again, it's called Live in Your Wheelhouse. And it is any day now we'll be having the website up where you can order the book or pre-order the book. And then you get like the first 3 chapters free, a masterclass. And then I'm going to run like a Facebook group where I get on and do live question and answer. So, because this is a new concept in real estate and in home ownership. And it's very much backed by psychological theory and human resource development and things like that. It's just not been applied to your actual living environment yet. But
Okay.
the dissatisfaction rates and the buyer's remorse has skyrocketed in the past 5 years. And I think we all just chose our homes too quickly. And life is moving so fast that I don't think our homes are keeping up with it. So I'm trying to somehow help people align not only with who they are, but creating an environment that really brings them comfort and joy and like fulfilling, some kind of mission in life, because that's what brings true happiness.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And good luck with your book. And like I said, the links will be in the show notes that people can find you and connect with you and pre-order your book.
Thank you so much for having me.
Did you love that episode or learn something useful? If so, would you do me a huge favor? My goal is to grow this podcast and help as many women as I can break free from the overwhelm so they can truly enjoy their life. The best way for me to do this is for you to leave a 5-star written review on your podcast app and to share this episode with a friend or in your Instagram stories. I appreciate you being here. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you on the next episode. Take care.